Okay, Dr. RJB. And I don't know if you ever check the clothes I wear. They don't change too much with some of these videos. And that's because I do more than one video per day. And today's video is on coronary artery disease, heart disease. You can also look above my head because I always put the title of the video above my head. So you want to know what the video is about? Read it. It's right up there. Coronary disease, or probably I might put heart disease. I'm not sure what I'm going to put on there today. Any event, I try to make it easy on you guys by telling you what's going on right away. All right, so coronary artery disease is the one that we're talking about today. Coronary artery disease, we're really talking about clogging of the arteries of the heart. Now, what does that mean? Generally, what happens to a person with coronary artery disease is because of some situation, genetics, bad diets, cigarette smoking, the blood vessels get injured and they start getting narrowed by the process. Now, in the old days, they thought all that happened was the cholesterol just was floating around the body and just started clumping on the arteries. And they thought, well, it's just nothing but cholesterol, no big deal. What they've actually found when they look under these things under the microscope is that there's an inflammatory process that's going on. And they can even see some inflammatory cells outside the blood vessel that's being clogged up. Also, what happens is you see the cholesterol plaque, but a lot of times you also see calcium deposits. Because as the body tries to fight off this inflammation and cholesterol plaque, it lays down calcium as a kind of a response. And so we see these plaque that are not soft like cholesterol is. Cholesterol is just a fat, so it's not that big. Cholesterol is about as soft as butter. I mean, it's not the hardest thing in the world. But then you got the calcium that's deposited, so you got a plaque that's relatively hard. When I used to do some surgical assistance, and they used to do a surgery to clean out the arteries that are in the neck, carotid artery repair, they used to pull out this cholesterol plaque, and it was almost like chipping a stone out of that artery. The material was so fragile and unbreakable. These plaques can get quite tough. Now, one of the ways to treat them these days is with a balloon angioplasty and a stent. The balloon basically widens the area, but if that's all you do, the area will snap right back. So they widen it with the balloon, and then in their place they put a stent. Now a stent is kind of like, if you have a metal strainer, you know how it's kind of like a crosshatch pattern, and that's basically what the stent is. It's basically a cage kind of thing. And it's basically is kind of in this position, and then the balloon widens it. So now you got this thing that's all spread out. And because it doesn't have a tendency to snap right back again because it's made out of metal, it holds the blood vessel open. So you balloon it open, you leave the stent in place to hold it so that it doesn't snap right back again. Now, they can even do this in the stage where somebody has a heart attack. So the artery has gone from partially closed to all closed when you have the heart attack. They can go in with the catheter, open up this area, leave the stent in place, and basically get the blood flowing again to the area that had been prevented of getting any blood flow by the blockage. most of these blockages in a heart attack are actually blood clots. So they go inside of this blood clot, they blast it open with the balloon, leave the stent in place, open up the circulation, everything is great. You go from having a heart attack and possibly a damaged heart to having a situation where the heart can recover from that injury. The big thing with management of coronary artery disease at that point is to get the cholesterol down and to get it down a lot, because that's one of the few things that have been shown to not have the same blockage come back again. You don't want you to open up the artery and then find that the artery closes back up again because of forming a new blockage. So treatment is get the cholesterol down really low, definitely under 140, and sometimes even less than 100. In the average person, if you get it down below 200, you're doing okay. But somebody who's had a heart attack, you want to get it super low. The whole idea is that we can tell statistically that if we do that, the odds of developing another blockage is low. So that's the key. Put people on enough anti-cholesterol drugs to keep their cholesterol in the low state. Also, of course, you got to manage the blood pressure, because blood pressure can damage the arteries too. And so you want to lower the blood pressure so that it's not going to be elevated. And if somebody's a diabetic, you treat their blood sugar to keep it in a good range so that it's not going to also damage the artery. So you try to manage whatever medical issues are going on that may have caused the blockage in the first place, and then hopefully you're not going to get another blockage later on. In severe cases where there's a lot of blockage, of course, they do the cardiac bypass graft surgery. It's called a cabbage because there's an A of artery in there too. So coronary artery bypass graft is what the CABG stands for, and we call it a cabbage because CABG sounds like cabbage. That's the more severe situation where there's a lot of blockages, too much to just do an angioplasty with the balloon, and so they do the surgery. Okay, so in any event, we do have treatments for these things, and hopefully you don't get there by junking up your diet and getting blood sugar problems and all this. Diet and exercise, folks. It's the way to prevent it. You got to decide whether you want to do some diet and exercise, or whether you want to have all these diseases that are coming from, eating junk and sitting on your butt. You got a choice.